I've always supported Betis. My brother influenced me when I was still very young. I've got Betis in the blood. Living and playing for Betis, it was my dream to play for this club. Playing in the Betis first team for so many years, winning trophies, that's why I say I'm privileged.
Born and raised a Betis fan, Jesus Capitan Capi was one of the youth academy players chosen by the club in the 90s to move on up into the first team. He was still starting out learning the game when he got his chance, on one of those days that a player never forgets.
I remember that day so well, when Lorenzo Serra Ferrer called because Juan Merino got an ankle injury and I had to travel with the team to Valencia. I made my debut there in Mestalla with a team with Burrito Ortega, Vlahovic. I was just 19 and never expected to get there so quickly.
It took him time to get consolidated in the team, and he spent a season out on loan with Granada. But on his return, he quickly became a key player in a brilliant Betis side. Over the next decade, he showed his talent and scored goals in more than 300 appearances in the famous green and white shirt, and won over the fans who took him into the heart. But certain moments stand out.
The most special one was my first goal here, not just because it was against Sevilla, but because my grandfather had died a few months before, and it was the first goal I scored with the Betis first team. My grandfather loved football. We used to talk a lot about football and Betis, but he died a few months before. That first goal with Betis is the one I remember the most.
Capi is the perfect witness to what the Seville derby is all about.
When you get in the car or into a taxi or you walk the streets, have a coffee, all the time you're feeling more and more motivated. You can't wait for the match to begin. Sometimes you're so motivated for a derby, the adrenaline gets in the way. You're too motivated and that affects you negatively. Often it's the player who doesn't feel the passion so much who decides the derby. But you build up for it over the week and the atmosphere is something else.
The first 5 years of the century were great times for a Betis side who were growing on the pitch and who ended up winning a much-desired trophy.
There are a lot of players who come up through the academy. It all began when we got promoted from the second division in Jaén. The following year, we had a brilliant season under Juan de Ramos and got into the UEFA Cup. Then Victor Fernandez came and we played for 2 years with him on the bench. We played good football and we nearly got into the UEFA again. Then under Lorenzo Serra Ferrer, we had a magnificent year. We got into the Champions League, and that was the first time an Andalusian club had played the Champions League. We won the Copa del Rey that same year. It was really amazing. We beat Madrid, and you don't forget something like beating Madrid. We beat Barcelona in Huelva's stadium. Because the Villamarín was closed, we had to play in Huelva. We beat Barca with Kluivert and Rijkaard on the bench. When you play football, it all goes by so quickly, you enjoy it so much. Things happen and sometimes you don't realise who you're playing against. Maybe you're playing Zidane, Ronaldo, Roberto Carlos, but you don't notice.
For Capi, however, not everything was a bed of roses, and he had to suffer with his team.
4 or 5 years later, we got relegated, and I experienced that too. It was against Valladolid on the last day of the season. They were hard times. I wouldn't wish them on anyone. Getting relegated is horrible. Promotion is fantastic, though. It's even better than winning a title.
After witnessing first-hand success and failure, Capi now forms part of the history of the famous old club.
You remember the good times more, the successes, spending time with your teammates, and especially with the fans.